At the very outset of our investigation, we assigned this case our most experienced and capable team of detectives. Thereafter, we immediately and thoroughly followed every reasonable line of inquiry. We committed hundreds of officers and staff, reviewing 1,200 hours of CCTV, conducting more than 4,000 house-to-house inquiries, searching lakes, open land and woodland. I cannot even begin to imagine what it is like for Leah's parents and family for 3 years and 8 months, not knowing what has happened to their daughter and loved one.
You're watching Totally True Crime.
Totally True Crime.
In 2019, Leah Croucher was 19 years old. She lived in Milton Keynes, England, with her family on the Quantock Crescent. She was a talented young woman. She was a second Dan black belt in martial arts. She was known internationally for it. She was a national and European champion in Taekwondo. She also helped coach the next generation of budding young martial arts enthusiasts, along with her father, at the family club that they ran. Leah had long brown hair, a sweet smile, and a kind face. Her parents, John and Claire Croucher, loved her dearly, and she had a sister called Jade and a half-brother called Hayden. On the morning of the 15th of February 2019, at around 8 a.m, Leah left her home to begin her 2-mile walk to her office. She worked for a direct debit collecting agency. She was supposed to arrive for work at 9 a.m, but she never turned up. That evening, when she didn't arrive home from work, her parents were instantly concerned. They couldn't get hold of her on her mobile phone, and they decided to call the police. The police reviewed CCTV footage along the route that Leah usually took to work, and the last reported image of her was captured at 8:16 a.m. on a road called Buzzacott Lane. She was walking in the expected direction towards her office. An eyewitness saw someone that matched Leah's description nearby at 8:20 a.m. But then just 14 minutes later, at 8:34 a.m, Leah's mobile phone was disconnected from the network, and it never rejoined. The local community were becoming aware of their missing neighbour, and 3 other eyewitnesses came forward to say that they'd seen someone matching Leah's description walking near to Thurston Lake. They said that this person was on a mobile phone and that she was crying, clearly visibly upset. Leah's phone had not been on at this point, so did she have another phone, or was this someone else? This caused the police to focus on the lake as a potential location of interest. The search went on for days, but nothing significant was found. Thames Valley Police put together a press conference. Her mother and father were there too.
It is totally out of character for Leah to go missing. She hasn't spoken to her family and friends. She hasn't used her mobile phone or accessed her bank. She hasn't used social media. We need your help to find Leah. Have you seen her? Have you spoken to her? Do you know somebody that's spoken to her or has met her? We would like to hear from anybody with CCTV or dashcam footage from Thurston, Emerson Valley, Shenley Lodge, Knoll Hill and surrounding roads on Friday the 15th between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m.
Leah is a bright, confident and loving 19-year-old. She loves fantasy fiction, both reading it, writing it and publishing it herself on the internet. She loves watching DVD box sets in her bedroom. She doesn't really like pubs or clubbing much and generally comes home by 1 a.m. at the latest if she does go out. She's a family-orientated person who cares deeply about her family and her friends. She is kind and generous and always helps people any way she can. She loves Taekwondo and attends classes with her dad. We're going on a family holiday in just under 2 weeks, which Leah was really looking forward to. She'd helped us pick out the hotel at the airport the night before. Leah, if you are able to hear or see me as I read this, please get in touch, or better still, come home. It doesn't have to be me or Dad that you contact. You can call, text, email, Facebook or Snapchat anybody you feel comfortable with getting in touch. Just show us that you are safe. Your family, friends, work colleagues and the Taekwondo community across the world are extremely concerned for your welfare. Just drop someone a call to say that you're okay. We're beside ourselves with worry. Dad and Granddad are beside themselves with worry. Your brother and sister, your aunties and uncles are worried. Everyone wants you to be safe, Leah. Please come home. You're not in any trouble because we love you so much. We want our beautiful, wonderful little girl to come home. If there's something bothering you, we can help you to fix it. You're not alone. You will never be alone as long as me and Dad are here. We will support you in any way we can, always. But you have to come home to us so we can help. We miss you terribly. Please call us so we can come and get you. We love you so much.
At this point, there was no evidence to suggest that there had been foul play or that Leah had had any type of accident. They had to consider that she may have left of her own free will. So they started to look at her movements before she went missing. The day before she went missing was Valentine's Day. It was a Thursday, so she'd been at work during the day. On her way home from work, it looked as though someone, possibly Leah, turned off the GPS locator on her phone. And it looked as though she was around the Thurston Lake area when it was disabled. But from 6 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. that night, Leah left her home, telling her parents that she was going to see her friend. But when the police went to confirm this with her friend, they discovered that she hadn't met up with her. This meant that Leah's whereabouts were unaccounted for 75 minutes. And despite numerous appeals and Leah's missing persons case gathering national press attention, no one came forward to say that they were with Leah that Valentine's Day evening. So where was she, and who had she been with? There was another incident that had happened 2 weeks before Leah went missing, on the 3rd of February. Leah had told her father that she and a bunch of her girlfriends were going to have a sleepover in a local hotel. Her father dropped her off at the Jury's Inn hotel, and as he drove away, Leah walked to a different hotel, a nearby travel lodge, where she spent the night. Needless to say, there had been no sleepover with her friends, so who had she met? Her family only found out that she'd not actually stayed at the Jury's Inn when her bank statement was delivered after she went missing. When her family looked at it, they saw that she'd been in the travel lodge, and all her friends confirmed that there had been no planned sleepover. The travel lodge said that because it was 2 weeks prior that she had stayed over there, the CCTV footage had been wiped from their system, so the police couldn't see who she'd met up with. But her family thought they might know who she'd spent the night with. Though Leah was described as a homebody, she had met someone, a man who was engaged to another woman. He was an Asian male, and he had told Leah that his upcoming marriage was an arranged one. They'd started to have an affair the summer before she went missing, and her family were under the impression that this affair had ended after her mother had warned her that it was likely they would never be able to be together. But Leah was smitten with this man. She would pay for taxis to go and meet him and would talk about him a lot. He was older than her and he lived in a nearby town. The press reported this after Leah's family were forced to confirm that it had been true, there had been local rumours circulating that she had run away with this man. Web sleuths and locals took to social media to try to find out more. The Milton Keynes Community Hub Facebook page reposted a story from a local newspaper called the MK Citizen. The headline read, "Leah Croucher was having secret affair with married man in Milton Keynes, where she vanished, say parents." The article went on to say that he might actually be engaged, but possibly married by now. The article detailed the Travelodge stay and the 75 accounted for minutes on the night before she went missing. Many people were convinced that this man had something to do with Leah's disappearance. But this man, who had never formally been named in the press, had an alibi for the day Leah had gone missing, and the police ruled him out as a suspect. The months went on, and in September 2019, a member of the public came forward and said they'd found a grey hoodie around February or March that year at a local nature reserve close to Milton Keynes. This nature reserve was called the Blue Lagoon, and this person thought they should come forward. Why did it take them 6 months to come forward with this information? We don't know, but the police investigated and they saw a genuine reason for this. They said that it was in good faith. This led to a search of the lagoon using specialist teams and even drones. The grey hoodie Leah had been wearing had multicoloured logos on it that said Stuart B Taekwondo, the name of her club where she was an instructor. But after a lengthy search, nothing else was found in the area that related back to Leah. Her family were forced to spend their first Christmas without their daughter and sister. Her mother, Claire, made this appeal in December 2019.
Hello, my name's Leah Croucher and I'm Leah's mum. I'm asking you to download my daughter's appeal online and print off her poster so that she can be found. We know that downloading posters from the Missing People's website can help to find people, and this will also provide you with a notification of the happy day Leah will be found and comes home to us.
On the anniversary of her death, the police released an image of a map which narrowed down the area that they were certain Leah went missing from, and it was just 1 square mile. They asked local residents to think about where they had been that day, to go back and check their diaries, their phones and their social media posts to see if they had been in the area and if they'd seen anything that might help the police with their inquiries. That square mile circled the whole of Thurston Lake. The police also narrowed down the period of time down to 18 minutes from the last sighting of her on CCTV at 8:16 a.m. and her phone disconnecting from the network at 8:34 a.m. This had happened near to the top of the lake that was near to the Premier Inn Hotel. It's important to note that in the CCTV, Leah is walking casually and she does not look worried or distressed. The police labelled Buzzercoat Lane with the CCTV camera as point A and the top of the lake as point B. There were a few ways to get from points A to B, but remembering that it was a weekday, this time of day would have been busy, with people commuting to work, walking their dogs, and taking their kids to school. None of the possible routes were remote either. They were all residential streets and busy roads. The police were hopeful that someone would have seen something. Detective Chief Inspector Andy Howard said, "We have undertaken a huge amount of work on this case, but we are unfortunately no further forward today than we were a few days after Leah disappeared. It's an incredibly unusual and baffling case." During that year, the officers had visited over 4,000 homes. They'd received 550 reports of information including potential sightings. They'd watched 1,200 hours of CCTV footage and carried out 1,200 investigative tasks, all that led them nowhere. There was now also a reward for information. The reward was for £10,000. The police said they were operating under two different theories. The first, that she'd left voluntarily and that she was now living a new life somewhere, possibly abroad, and she'd been helped to escape by a third party. Or that she'd been abducted by someone and had either been killed instantly or was being kept against her will. As the years went by, Leah's family had to deal with the loss of their daughter and sister. They even had accusations towards them from members of the public, rumours about what had happened to her, and they were dealing with the constant battle of going between grief and hope. In October 2019, that battle had become so overwhelming for Leah's half-brother Hayden Croucher. He was struggling to cope with his sister's disappearance, and he took his own life. He was rushed to the hospital, but they couldn't save him, and he was just 24 years old. He was found by his mother Tracy and his sister Jade. His father John had now lost his son to suicide, and his daughter was missing. How much could one family endure? As the COVID pandemic rippled through the world, the investigation into Leah's disappearance was ongoing, but now there were new barriers to overcome. But in October 2022, 3.5 years after Leah went missing, this happened.
Welcome and thank you for coming to our press conference today regarding the disappearance of Leah Croucher and the subsequent murder investigation. On Monday, at about 6:30pm, police were contacted with information about a property in Locksbeer Drive, Furston, Milton Keynes. We promptly attended and a number of items were located inside the property. These items included a rucksack and personal possessions belonging to Leah. Sadly, human remains were also found inside the property close to the rucksack. As a result of our findings, Thames Valley Police changed its investigation from a missing person investigation to a murder investigation. But at the very outset of our investigation into the disappearance of Leah, we assigned this case our most experienced and capable team of detectives, led by a senior investigating officer. This attests to our determination to find Leah. Thereafter, we immediately and thoroughly followed every reasonable line of inquiry. We committed hundreds of officers and staff to the search for Leah, reviewing 1,200 hours of CCTV, conducting more than 4,000 house-to-house inquiries, searching lakes, open land and woodland. But sadly, the call from the member of the public that we received on Monday this week was the first occasion that information was made available to enable the investigation team to provide any link between that address in Locksbeer Drive and Leah. Prior to this, in the course of visiting those 4,000 properties, I can confirm that number 2 Locksbeer Drive was visited on at least 2 occasions. However, there was no response at the house. Therefore, we dropped a leaflet through the letterbox requesting a callback if the occupants of the property had any information. Since we were alerted to this property on Monday evening, we have established that the property is owned by someone who lives overseas and rarely visits the United Kingdom. It is now known that the owner was not in the UK at the time Leah was reported missing, and the house was unoccupied when police attended on these inquiries.
It was the news that no one wanted. The Croucher family now knew that their loved and missed daughter and sister wouldn't be coming home, and that all those years of hope had now been wiped out, knowing that the whole time her body had been just half a mile away from their house. But how had she got there? And why were her remains only being found now. Who was responsible for taking the life of Leah Croucher? The police immediately had a suspect. And this is where the real need for monitoring what we say online and accusations made against innocent people, including her family members, needs to be addressed. Because it wasn't the man that she'd been having a relationship with, and it wasn't her father. It was a local sex offender named Neil Maxwell, a convicted local sex offender. The house where Leah had been found was in a road called Lockspear Drive. Remember when I said the police had released a list of street names when they narrowed the location of where she went missing to a square mile? Well, Lockspear Drive was the first street named on that list. It's thought that she'd walked past the house and encountered Neil Maxwell, who randomly attacked her while she was on her way to work. Leah's personal possessions had been found in the home, including her rucksack that she had been carrying. At the time that Leah had gone missing, Neil Maxwell was on the run from police in connection with a sexual assault in Newport Pagnell, a town on the edge of Milton Keynes. This assault had happened just 4 months earlier, in November 2018. He had previous convictions of sexual assault against both women and children. He didn't own the house on Lockspear Drive. He was a maintenance man, and the owner of the home lived abroad, so they'd given him access to the house to do some work. But the police couldn't arrest Neil Maxwell, because just weeks after Leah had gone missing, he too had taken his own life. He'd hung himself in a communal bin cupboard in a block of flats. He'd written a note that he'd stuck to the door of the cupboard, saying, "Please do not come in. There's a dead body inside. Call the police." He was 49 when he took his life in April 2019, and it was revealed that he'd managed to evade arrest 18 times since November 2018. It was revealed that he also had access to other homes that he worked in as a maintenance man, all in the local area. Neil previously spent years of his life in jail. One sentence he received for a rape that he committed was for 4 years and 10 months. He told friends that he was scared to go back to prison, and it's thought that that's why he took his own life. The police had knocked at the house on Lockspear Drive when they were doing their door-to-door inquiries, but because the owner lived abroad, there'd been no reply, so the officers posted a leaflet through the door instead. Incredibly, in the summer of 2019, the owner of the home came back to stay there for the summer. Leah's body was in the loft of the house the whole time and remained undiscovered. It was only in 2022, when a new maintenance man entered the property on behalf of the owner and noticed a horrible odour in the property, that he thought he needed to call the police. He had also found belongings that he believed might belong to Leah. The police arrived, and it was during a search they confirmed that they found her remains in the loft of the house. At her inquest, it was revealed that the most likely scenario was that Leah had been the victim of a random sexual assault. But because she had a black belt in martial arts, she would have tried to fight back, and the situation likely escalated from there. The cause of her death could not be determined due to the decomposition of her body over the years. She had to be identified by her dental records. Questions on how Neil Maxwell had managed to evade the police and questions regarding his probation came under scrutiny. He had missed multiple appointments with his probation officer from January 2019, and he had been labelled as a medium risk offender when his repeated offending should have had him labelled as a high risk. The coroner ruled that these failings could have contributed to Leah's death, though not directly caused it. that was down to the actions of one evil man alone, Neil Maxwell. On the 3rd of March 2023, mourners lined the streets of Milton Keynes as a horse-drawn carriage carried the coffin of Leah Croucher to her final resting place. The Crouchers were burying their second child. Members of the community lit candles and spent time remembering Leah. Tributes poured in for her, and to this day, she is remembered by her loving family, her friends, and her community. Neil Maxwell died a rapist, a paedophile, and a murderer, alone in a bin cupboard. At Leah's funeral, her family asked people not to send flowers, but instead to send donations to the Missing People charity. There's a page set up in Leah's memory, and it's linked in the description below. Every year in the UK, around 170,000 people go missing. It's organisations like Missing People that mean there is extended support for families, like Leah's, who are missing their loved one. Thank you for watching. If you found this episode interesting, please subscribe for weekly true crime videos like this. You've been watching Totally True Crime.